What a topsy-turvy game this has been, ladies and gentlemen, at the Olimpico. Are we in for one last twist? The ball hoisted forward. Here's Caicedo. It's bobbling around. Caicedo has got it in underneath Salvatore Sirigu. It's incredible.
The Calcio Guys is a weekly podcast by Adreano Donardo, Gianni Dellacoli, and myself, Nicholas Di Giovanni. We want to bring Calcio back to its roots in our communities and share stories from around the world about why we're passionate about the beautiful game. You can listen to us anywhere where you listen to your podcasts, including Spreaker, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, iHeart Radio, and Mixcloud. Give us your opinion on social media at The Calcio Guys on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The intro song is Fireworks by Jazar. They say the older the wine, the better. You know the expression, ages like fine wine. With Adriano Donardo and Gianni Dellacoli, I'm Nicholas Di Giovanni here on the Calcio Guys. Do you guys like wine?
Yes.
Absolutely. Homemade wine, good wine in Italy, good wine that you find here in Montreal. Again, this is another thing. Cucina Guys coming at you soon, but this is the Calcio Guys on tonight.
Yeah. We're gonna have we're gonna have Peter Curto on later to talk about Inter from IFTV. So I'm excited about this guest. But you know what else ages like fine wine? Strikers in the Serie A. You got Zlatan, 39 years old, 7 goals. Ronaldo, 35 years old, 5 goals in a couple of games. Quagliarella, 37 years old, 4 goals. And, if you want to throw it in, Ciccio Caputo, 33, 5 goals.
Our boy.
I think early on in the season, that's the theme so far. It's these old strikers, strikers in their 30s, I'm not going to use the word old, strikers in their 30s dominating the Serie A and making guys much younger than them look foolish. But it's fun to watch.
Oh, 100%. I think it's basically because we have to realize that fitness regimens and training staff are completely different than years gone by. And these are all players, if you look at them, they take well good care of their bodies. So they're able to last this long. They stay fit. They stay active. They're not like the Ronaldo 9s, like where like all of a sudden at past the age of 30, 32, 33 around, all of a sudden you got a pop from nowhere type of thing. So these guys, for them, fitness is life. So that's why they're able to keep on being effective.
Yeah, absolutely. And just, these players have adapted from, playing different types of roles also, especially these attackers. We might not see the dashing runs by Ronaldo on the left-hand side anymore, but he's changed his game and he's still able to produce at a high level. I could speak for Ibrahimovic on Milan's side. The guy, like Nick said, ages like fine wine. He calls himself Benjamin Button, all the things to it. And he's leading the league right now with 7 goals. And, it's remarkable to see. Again, these guys, I'm not about all of them, but, the Ibras, Ronaldos, haven't played all the game. They beat COVID. They're just, evergreens in the Serie A and legends of the game. So like Nick said, it's exciting to watch. Maybe you wouldn't have predicted this is how it would be, but you can never count out guys like Ibrahimovic, Ronaldo, and these older guys in Serie A.
Rebic has brought a spark since coming on. Will he bring a fire over as Ibra? Zlatan Ibrahimovic. How does he do it? The leader, the emblem, the icon of this Milan side. And out of nothing, he produces a miracle and surely the winning goal.
You heard that. Zlatan, out of nothing, produces a miracle. Nice, more than nice overhead kick, but it wasn't on Simi level. It wasn't a Simi overhead kick. I think that's...
Simi, him too, another legend.
I think he's only like 25 or something. I believe Simi so. He's still got ways to go. We had Fabrizio from Genoa Club Toronto on last week, and the derby this weekend 1-1. But I'd say a pretty fair result.
Yeah, even Steven result, pretty, in the derby, a derby that we spoke about last week, one of the probably underrated derbies. Again, a shame, there wasn't, the packed crowd and all the tifo, but there was a magical flare that ended up onto the field early on in the game from probably the top deck. I don't know, one of the stewards probably up there trying to cause some fun, I guess. I don't know, but even game on both sides. And I thought it was a well played game on both ends. I liked Genoa's attacker Scamacca. He has now 2 goals in 2 games. He looked good, a good young attacker, and I think it's a positive results for both clubs. Obviously, Genoa didn't do much today against Torino, but I guess we'll save that for a bit later. But even game. I guess, at the end of it, nobody really wanted to capitalize at the end there, but no really late drama that I remember. So, on to the next ones for these teams, the Genoa clubs, and, trying to stay, in the middle of the race, trying not to get relegated.
Did you watch it, Gianni?
Unfortunately, no, I haven't had a chance to see it, so I won't be able to comment on it. But, it was an important point for Genoa. They needed to keep themselves afloat, let's say, from the bottom 3. They could have done better off with a W, but you know what? I think they'll take a draw at this point.
And Scamacca, by the way, 2 Serie A goals in 2 games. He scored today against Torino. I completely forgot this game was even on. This was a rescheduled match from like match day 3 or 4 when Genoa had COVID. He has 2 goals in 2 Serie A games, and he had 2 goals in the Coppa Italia against Catanzaro. So he's the player that's hot right now. Gianni, we will talk about your Napoli.
Yeah.
Sassuolo. It seems that Sassuolo always plays really well against the big clubs. We talked a lot about
Sassuolo.
Yeah, we talked a lot about Sassuolo last week, and a big 2-0 win. Locatelli on the penalty, and then Lopez on the late goal in extra time. Yeah. But Napoli, I don't know. I feel like missed chances could become like the death of them this season.
Yeah, and that's what this game was. This game was basically them they were getting the opportunities and the chances. They just weren't able to capitalize on them. It was just a difference of Sassuolo scoring on their chances and Napoli not. It's who was at the end? Lopez?
Yeah,
Maximo.
Yeah, that was a beautiful, great
Lopez,
effort by him.
Maxi
Beautiful
Lopez.
goal. Yeah, a really great play by him at the end there. I was surprised Bakayoko was in the back and not Koulibaly, so that was just a little bit off for me. But overall, it's just that like Insigne is back to training with the team again today. Then was it today or yesterday? They announced that he was back in training, so it's great to see. Yeah. They're gonna get back some cohesiveness in the offense. But you could have. I wouldn't press the panic button. It was just basically a game of just Napoli not being able to finish. That's all it was. I see your little note that says Osimhen can't finish. I don't think so.
Yeah, I was just about to ask Idri that. Yeah, Osimhen, he has 1 goal. A lot of people are talking positively about him. He looks like he's having fun. He looks like he's integrating into the team well. He looks like he's playing well. He is finding himself open, but he just needs to finish. Maybe at a certain point it becomes like a mental thing, like a mental block. Maybe when he scores that next goal, they'll be like, get that monkey off his back.
Absolutely. I think, listen, guys, Osimhen, we've praised him here a bit. I've listened to other Napoli podcasts or just seen on Napoli Twitter the praise for this young guy. He's come in for a big fee, coming to a new league, learning a new language. You got to give him time. His crazy super save, I guess, by Consigli after he gave it up and Osimhen couldn't finish. I thought he was going to put it in the back of the net. I was a bit surprised. Listen, I'm a fan of Osimhen. I like what he can bring to Napoli's attack, an already scary attack that they've had in years past. Again, I think it's time will tell. He's a young player still. I think he's only 21 years old, if I'm not mistaken. So, the more that he gets integrated into the squad, the more faith that he has by Gattuso and his teammates, and playing off of a Napoli legend now in Ciro Mertens, I think he has all the tools to succeed now and into the future with this club and whoever else he may play with in the future. But I agree with Gianni. I wouldn't pull the panic button on Napoli or on Osimhen just yet. Their performance in this game might bleed into my yellow card, red card later, but I think it's a little divot in the road here. But on to the next one for Napoli.
Inter this weekend, they came back from 2-0 against Parma, so we will talk to Peter about that later on. But it just seems like Parma has their number. I'm gonna pull up some interesting stats about that later. But Parma really does have Inter's numbers. They're kryptonite. But that 2-0 comeback wasn't the biggest comeback this weekend.
And the ball's given away here. It's Sasha Lukic to win it for Torino! What a finale with 3 minutes to go. Torino have snatched it. It's Sasha Lukic. Ciro Immobile against Salvatore Sirigu. Immobile! Ciro Immobile pulls Lazio level. What a topsy-turvy game this has been, ladies and gentlemen, at the Olimpico. Are we in for one last twist? The ball hoisted forward. Here's Caicedo. It's bobbling around. Caicedo has got it in underneath Salvatore Sirigu. It's incredible.
Just pure madness at the Stadio Olimpico in Torino. Sasha Lukic scores in the 87th minute. You heard it there. The commentator said, game over. 3-2. And then Immobile on a penalty, on a let's just say questionable handball.
Iffy.
Yeah. and then Caicedo. This is reminding me of Lazio from last year. The amount of late wins they got, the amount of late wins from goals from Caicedo that they got was incredible. He's their clutch striker at the end. It's as if I saw a meme. I think it was from Lautaro goal. If games started in the 90th minute, it was Caicedo with 5 Ballon d'Ors around him.
But you know what? They're not wrong. They're not wrong.
Yeah, but honestly, Lazio, ever since their Dortmund game, it's a different Lazio. It reminds me of Lazio last year. After their Sampdoria loss, they looked a bit lost. They didn't look confident. And then another draw today against Zenit 1-1, Caicedo again, and they had so many guys out, and I think mentally Lazio's in a good spot. Maybe they're not getting the results they want, but they have to be somewhat happy.
Yeah, I mean, it's also the fact that they're going through a lot of BS right now with this whole issue with the UEFA testing and the Italian testing for COVID. And I feel bad for Immobile. He's just sitting there can I play or not at this point, But they're still they got a draw today, which was a very big draw for them after being down 1-0. They're trying to find results with what they have, and they're getting them, and it shows. It speaks volumes about the word I'm looking for is I don't say confidence, but assertiveness, maybe. I can't find the specific word I want to describe it, but they're trying to do their best with what they have, and they're still yielding results from it. So you have to give them some form of credit. And this is not even them in their top-notch form. So I honestly was surprised that even happened towards the end. But you know what? If there was any team that was going to do it at that point, it was Lazio.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, listen, this game was mental, insane at the death there. 2 goals in 5 minutes or whatever it was, 3 minutes. In stoppage time to say the least. Like Nick said, I probably agree. I know we spoke about in our WhatsApp group chat with Nando, Jan, and Dom. If he call on the
and Mass.
Shout out and Mass. Sorry, shout out to those guys. Podcast group on WhatsApp. It was just iffy call on Nkulu, a tough decision to give that. In my personal opinion, I think there was a bit of a gray zone, but listen, they gave the call. Immobile had enough confidence. He stepped up. He scored, and then just in typical Caicedo fashion, ends the game on a crazy bounce between Sirigu's legs. You couldn't script it any other way for Lazio. again, like the guys I mentioned, depleted squad, still getting some sort of result. Yes, they're in 10th with 10 points, sure. But, they have kind of, I remember at the beginning of the season, I was kind of like, what is this Lazio? What is this Roma? And, the Roman teams have kind of, shown me something so far this season. I know it's a small sample size, but they've shown me something. And if they can continue on this path to get some sort of positive results with depleted squads, with, not all their players or tactics in play, and maybe obviously some luck on their side, again, they can go far. So, Pazza Lazio, I guess, in this one against Torino. But again, we'll see how it takes them into the future.
But Torino, they finally got their first win of the season today against Genoa. They still have 4 losses and a draw. We talked about it before. Gianpaolo, I think it's safe to say he's the coach on the hot seat in the Serie A right now. Last year, the first coach fired was Eusebio Di Francesco after 7 match days on October 7th, so right before an international break last season. I personally think Gianpaolo's going to get fired this weekend, no matter the result. No matter what happens this weekend, he's gone. It's such a bad start for Torino, and with the international break coming up, it's just like everybody knows what's going to happen to him. I don't know how you guys feel.
Well, I was gonna.
Gianni, what are you thinking?
I mean, like, I was gonna touch upon it a bit on when we get to the yellow card, red card segment, because that's what I noted down. But
okay, if you want, you can leave it till then.
Well, if you don't mind, or unless because I can't think of anything else right now to say. But you know what? I'll save it for that segment. Adri, take it away.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, I think from the get-go, I know I'm pretty sure the guys too probably could agree with me that, Gianpaolo is probably one of the first coaches to probably get fired, even if we had to predict, without any games being played. I don't know. He seems to have some sort of now track record with that. So, with his short stint at Milan as well. So, I think if they would have maybe lost today, I could have probably been more on your side, Nick, about maybe getting the boot coming up. I don't think it'll happen right now. It might take a bit more time, but again, they have to weigh their options of who they're going to bring in to replace him as well. Do they bring a Mazzari back? Do they go after, I don't know, a Sari or something like that? I don't know. Who knows? It's one of these things with coaching, firing coaches. It's like, what are we going to get in to replace? We always say that in the Serie A. So. Sometimes the grass isn't greener on the other side. Sometimes you have to stick to what you have. But sooner rather than later, I think Gianpaolo will be out of Torino.
Adrian, by the way, your Wi-Fi is a bit iffy. We barely see you. But I'll ask you guys this. We got a question from Roma English on Instagram. Atalanta. Pretty much embarrassed themselves against Liverpool, 5-0 at home. Just an awful performance. Diogo Jota, 3 goals. Not typical Atalanta. They beat Crotone this weekend, just 2-1 though. And they had that loss against Sampdoria. They tied Ajax, and so he asked, will Atalanta recover from this awful start, or could this be the end for them? I'll start with this.
Okay.
I don't think they had an awful start. I actually think they've had a good start, and they've hit a couple of rough patches. So I personally think they'll recover from this. I still think they could probably challenge for Champions League, even Scudetto. Maybe not, but it just seems like they always lose these big games. But I really don't think. I think we're maybe making too big of a deal on this, 5-0 Liverpool loss.
I mean, if we think about it, last year in Champions, they also had a bit of a rough start too.
Yeah.
There was a game where they lost. What was it?
They lost 5-1 to Manchester City.
That's what it was. Yeah. So, and they still made it. They still made it through. So I wouldn't. I mean, Atalanta is not an unfamiliar territory. They've been there before. They know what it takes to get out of it. So I think maybe this time around it'll be different. I don't want to say guaranteed it's going to be better. It could be worse, but they were in the same spot last year and they still got results. So that's my counter argument.
Yeah, listen, they're it's because there's so much hype, I think, around Atalanta. in Serie A, in Champions League, that we automatically just expect them to do beat everybody, and crush everybody. We know they do have a bit of defensive issues. We've spoken about that in the past. They're a team that tries to outscore their opponents rather than defend. So listen, like Nick said, a rough patch in the road. They still have 12 points in 6 games in the Serie A. And I'm going to stick to that. They're going to finish in the Champions League spots. Have they maybe came down a notch, from last season? Maybe, but at the same time, it's too small of a sample size, in my opinion, to start pushing any sort of panic buttons. What's the sample size? Maybe 10 games in, like we like to say. After 10 games, you know where you're at as a club, as a squad. So we'll wait till that point and then take it from there.
So you guys want to do yellow card, red card before we have Peter Curto on?
Oh, we're not going to talk about Roma? Okay, fine, I get it. No, it's okay.
Let's talk about Roma then.
One thing I just want to say.
That's why we have the segments.
Huh?
Roma. One thing I will say about them. Pedro and Mkhitaryan, 2 guys in their 30s, by the way, leading the charge for Roma. So another of those plus 30 guys.
And just another thing I want to add, if it wasn't for that technical issue with the 3-0 loss to Verona, Roma has been undefeated since start of season in all competitions, just wins and draws. That's the only loss they have, and it's not even an official loss. That was just a forfeit.
Somehow they're still in 8th.
Hey, wins and draws, okay? We're trying our best. We're keeping up in there.
Okay, you know what? I'll start with the MVPs then. I went off the board last week. I took Okaka. I'm going to go with Antonin Barak. Scored 2 goals for Verona this weekend, or rather on Monday against Benevento. A feisty game it was. Caprari got a red for talking. It was just a weird, not something you would expect between Verona and Benevento. But Barak, 2 goals on Monday. He scored 2 goals all of last season with Lecce. So I'm going a bit off the board. I know there were a lot of players who scored doubles this weekend, but I'm going to have to go with Barak.
Ball pulled back. Barak for his second! And what a strike! His first 2 goals in the shirt of Hellas Verona. And the second, an absolute picture.
Shout out, though, to my boy Alvaro Morata. Another goal this weekend against Spezia. Another goal ruled offside against Spezia. And then 2 good goals today against Ferencváros that were not even close to being offside. So I'm really proud of him. Special shout out to him.
Hey, he learned to take a step back maybe in this game. You
guys?
Johnny, what do you got on deck?
My MVP is going to go to another, last year I gave it to a former Roma manager. Now I'm going to give it to a former Roma player, and Gervinho. Shout out to the FIFA 15 FIFA Ultimate Team Destroyer. Him with Dumbia and Ibarbo. I'm not sure if you guys ever saw that meme, but that trident used to destroy a lot of people online because they were high 90s pace. But anyways, Gervinho, important 2 goals. He tried his best, and he's just a guy who doesn't get as much, as much hype as he deserves, because he is a fantastic player. Yes, there's games where he's invisible, but when he's on top form, he's very deadly. And this weekend he showed it. Well, this game week he showed it, getting a nice brace. So I'm gonna have to give him my MVP of the week.
Here's Gervinho. Oh, he scores for Parma! 20 seconds into the second half, and Gervinho comes up trumps at San Siro.
Adri?
Yeah, so for me, I had put down so many names down. I want to just give some mentions to a couple players this past match day. I guess the main guy I'll probably give it to, even though actually I'll give it to him. Musa Baro, 2 goals against Cagliari. A young player. Some of these actually are kind of young players as well. But for me, Baro, he's been with Atalanta. He's now been on Bologna for a bit, and he's proven to be a good striker, an important striker for a club like Bologna. I don't know. I just liked his performances. Caicedo, we mentioned earlier, super sub of dreams. Caicedo, 2 goals in 2 games at the death. I mentioned Scamacca before, 2 goals in 2 games as well. A nice young Italian striker. And then just the duo, the attacking strike force for Cagliari, João Pedro and Cholito Simeone. just their recent play, has been incredible. I believe Cholito Simeone has 5 goals in 6 games, and João Pedro has 4 goals and 2 assists in 6 games. They're at the top of the charts, with the leaders across Serie A, for scoring. So they've looked good. They've kind of, shocked me a bit from their play, but they always seem to have a knack for a goal. Obviously, Ibra in the double shot of espresso match at 6:30 a.m. here in the East Coast, with a goal and an assist as well, which was obviously nice to see. I was kind of half asleep, had some crust in my eyes still, but I still managed to see it. But yeah, I'm going to give it to Barrow, but I just wanted to mention all those other guys for their great play as of late.
Imagine being a Milan fan on the West Coast. You have to get up at 3:30 in the morning for that
Here's
game.
Barrow again from distance. Oh, he's done it again. Super goal from Musa Barrow, his second of the evening, and Bologna hit the front for the first time. That is a sensational finish from the Gambian.
Yeah, Caleri's been playing well. Maybe we'll have to get a Caleri guest on soon. So if you know any Sardinians, let us know. But yellow card, red card. Gianni, I just saw in the notes we kind of have something similar. So I won't go too long. I won't go too long, but I'm going to give a red card to Marco Giampaolo. This is a guy who has one of the better goalkeepers in the league in Salvatore Sirigu, who gets hung out to dry week in and week out. You feel bad for him. And then he has one of the better strikers in the league in Andrea Bellotti. 6 goals in 6 games. 6 goals in 6 games, and your team has only won once. I don't know. I know he doesn't have the best players between those two, like outside of those two guys. But Torino isn't a team that should be fighting relegation. I know I predicted that at the beginning of the season, but maybe I saw this coming a bit. So I'm gonna give my card to Giampaolo, and it's a red card. It's rare that I give it a red card, right? So red card to Giampaolo.
Could be a red card. The red card is out, and it's no surprise. Absolutely, is against the rules.
So Gianni, I know you have something similar.
Well, I was given a yellow card for the Torino Lazio game. You have the W in your pocket in the last dying minutes of the game. All you gotta do is just park the bus and just get your first win at the time until today when they actually won. And you're fighting to get out of relegation. So I was about to say regulation. You're fighting to get out of relegation, and you just. I'm not trying to knock Lazio. I'm not insulting them any way, but you just let it slip away so easily against Lazio. It would have been a great big confidence booster if they actually would have gotten that W from Lazio. But Lazio just fought back and they got it, and props to them. But I have to give a yellow to Torino's defensive play. They just let another W just walk away.
It's a late challenge, surely maybe the first yellow of the match.
Adri?
Yeah, absolutely. They went from wanting the win to taking the draw to accepting, I guess, defeat all in the matter of the second half. So crazy for Torino and Giampaolo.
Like in 5 minutes, yeah.
Exactly, in 5 minutes they had like a whirlwind of emotions. From 3 points to 1-0. So incredible scenes over there. But again, I'm going to go back to a game we mentioned earlier. Gianni touched upon it. The Napoli against Sassuolo match. I'm going to have to give a yellow card to Napoli, just not being, like what Gianni said, just not being clinical. I believe they had like 22 shots. I think only about like 6 or 7 on target. We talk about their offense. That they have one of the better, on paper at least, they have one of the better offenses in the Serie A. I would probably even match them. Without forget the paper, just on the field, I would probably match them with anybody in the league, right? So, just not being clinical enough in a big game against. A team that's in Sassuolo that's been, working over these bigger teams and moving their way up in the Serie A table. They're in second at the moment, but giant killers, exactly. And, it was just disappointing on Napoli's end. Again, we mentioned it earlier. I think it just, a small rough patch and they're going to be just fine. But for me this week, a small yellow card for Napoli's play against Sassuolo.
And, he now sees a flash of yellow before his eyes.
And I'm just going to throw in another small yellow. Let's just say this one's from all of us. It goes to the Italian clubs in the Champions League, because I don't like how things are looking so far. I know today Juve won, Lazio tied, but yesterday Inter lost. We'll talk to Peter about that. Atalanta, that loss there. But just overall, it's not. I don't know. Things are looking a bit bleak for the Italian clubs in Europe. So that's a small yellow card from us. But coming up, Peter Curto from IFTV.
Oh, he scores for Parma! 20 seconds into the... It will be the left foot of Kolarov, and it is in! Inter have equalised in stoppage time. It is 2-2, and it is Ivan Perisic with his first goal of the season.
Welcome back to the Calcio Guys. Joining us now is Peter Curto from IFTV. Peter, how's it going?
I'm great, guys. How's it going with you guys?
Pretty good. Peter,
Fantastic.
before we get... there was Adreano, a bit delayed.
A little slow, but he's fine.
Before we talk about Inter, we like to do it with all our guests. We want to know, how did you become an Inter fan, and kind of your story with the club?
Yeah, no, I mean, Interista dalla nascita. That's how it goes. So you're born an Inter fan. Comes from my grandfather, from my father's side. He's a big Inter fan. He's from Sicily, so a lot of the Sicilian teams back in the, I guess, the 40s, 50s, they weren't really in the top leagues yet. So you, as a kid, you would pick maybe the Inter, Juventus, Milan, and we were lucky that he picked Inter. So then from there, literally from birth, I had a Inter shirt, Inter scarf, you name it. And I remember going to like the local cafe, and back then used to smoke. They used to smoke in the coffee shop while watching the game. So I used to get picked up from my grandfather's. I used to get picked up from my grandfather from school, and we would go to the coffee shop to watch the Champions League game, and I would come home smelling of smoke. But definitely some great memories throughout the years, and it's just been a big part of my life. And then obviously Peter rhymes with Inter, so it's just fitting that it happened that way.
And it's not a bad team to follow. They have a tremendous history full of championships and not just local success but international success. And they're a team that's usually like 99% of the time in Champions League. And speaking of Champions League, yesterday they played a very big game versus Real. They started off down 2-0, tied it up. Looked like as if they were going to get a result from it, and then unfortunately around the 80th minute, around the 80th, 85th minute, Rodrigo scored. 80th or 80th. Anyways, long story short, unfortunately didn't get a point from the game. What's your feelings on that game?
Well, listen, it's really, really hard to digest that game, because it's a game where you give up stupid ball, back pass from Hakimi where maybe could have been a foul, looking back in the video, but nonetheless you give up a back pass goal, and then you have Sergio Ramos pretty much get a free header in the middle of the box and on a corner kick, and you're down 2-0. I mean, any team down 2-0 to Real Madrid, chances are of you coming back would be very slim. So I did like to see the fight back and from Inter. They were able to quickly score the 2-1. Nice assist by Barella, who's having an amazing season. Great to see also for Italy national team. Lautaro, who's been for me, I've been quite critical of Lautaro this year, and he's been quite awful. He scores the goal, and listen, as a striker, that's what you're paid to do. You got to score the goal, especially with Lukaku out. So that's already one negative point of this game without our best player, arguably best player. And we come back, we tie the game 2-2, and if you remember the game, we had two more chances after that, right? So it looked like Inter maybe could sneak in a third goal and win the game, and then just get caught, in the transition, and Real Madrid, for the players that they have, I mean, when you can make certain subs and they change the game. And listen, to lose to Real Madrid is not the end of the world. I think it's just in the way that we lost that game, and especially coming back, to tying 2-2. I think that would have been a fair result. But yeah, that's pretty much my take on the game.
So Pete, continuing on with Champions League, the Inter's been in a bit of a tough spot right now in Champions League, and What are your thoughts about, right now they're sitting in last in their group, their recent performance in Champions League? What are your expectations? Can they get out of the group? Can they go far in the tournament if they do get out of the group? What are your overall thoughts about Inter in Champions League?
Yeah, I mean, so this group, we were doing a live stream yesterday, and a lot of people were laughing. Oh, this group is not that hard. I think this group is one of the toughest groups in the Champions League this year. You have, Borussia Mönchengladbach, who is, one of the top teams in Germany. Obviously, not the best teams, but is always in the Champions League. You have a team like Real Madrid, who's won the Champions League the most amount of times in Europe for different teams. And you have a Shakhtar Donetsk that can give trouble to anybody, as we saw. Maybe not necessarily yesterday, but they did beat Real Madrid, and they kept Inter, without scoring. That being said, the way that the results have come around, I think Inter, technically speaking, still have a chance to get first place, right? If you win out the games, you could potentially get first place. So we're lucky in the sense that the rest of the other results have given us this chance to still have a chance for 2 spots. Are we going to get first place? I personally don't think we will. I think we can probably get the second place, and just getting out of the group in Champions League is important. That's the biggest thing. Then from there, I think Inter has a roster that can compete with a lot of teams when healthy, and when we have all our players that are this. Unfortunately, in the prior games, then your best striker is out with Lukaku missing the Real Madrid game. So not to make any excuses, because we all have to deal with these circumstances. We still have a chance. We're still there. But it all comes down to the next game. I think if you lose the next game, the morale and everything, it's going to be hard to get through this group.
Yeah, for sure.
Moving over back to the Serie A, Parma this weekend. It seems like Parma is like Inter's kryptonite, especially at the San Siro. Inter haven't beaten Parma at home since 2013. Obviously, Parma had a couple seasons away, but 4 draws and a loss since they last beat them, including the 2-2 draw this weekend. What did you make of that game?
I mean, it's pretty much Inter's like the whole year so far. I mean, even going back to the first game versus Fiorentina, where Inter, they have to leave it till the very end to scrape by and win that game. Luckily, the chances they had, they should have been able to win, but still to get the late minute tying and then goal, and then also the third goal versus Fiorentina. Now with Parma, Inter's playing, but they're not able to score. They're missing that killer instinct. This is something that's very important to win the Scudetto. Any team could have a bad game, but it's what they do when they have the bad game. So, for example, we see Juve in the past. They'll play terrible football for 90 minutes, but they'll win the game. They'll win the game 1-0. They'll win the game 2-1. And a lot has to do with defensive stability. And I think Inter's biggest problem right now is they're not able to concede less than 2 goals a game. I mean, this is a problem. And this is a problem where you get rid of Godin to take on Darmian, Kolarov, D'Ambrosio, who are not real center backs. And Conte want to keep this 3-man back line. And like I said, Skriniar was out with COVID, Bastoni was out with COVID. So we haven't been able to see Bastoni, De Vrij, and Skriniar for a majority of the games. And I think with those 3 guys coming back, Inter should have more security in the back line. And they understand the Conte system. Remember, Conte's system is not the 3-man back line is not an easy system to learn. It's a lot of spacing, and we've seen a lot of defenders have problems adjusting. So considering that there was no preseason and no real training and time to prepare, you need people that understand how to play in that 3-man back line. So I'm looking forward to see Bastoni, Skriniar, and De Vrij back. Going back to the Parma game, Parma is Inter's kryptonite, as you said. In the past, they've been able to always, either tie or score a goal to win the game, and it's just lack of concentration, but also, you have a guy like Gervinho who you see what he did, and he's a great player, but he was able to finish the chances he had. Meanwhile, you have Perisic who in the second minute chests the ball, looks like he's going to score an easy goal, and he skies it, all the way to the curva. Luckily, no one was there because it's all about what you do, and you have to finish those chances. You score 1-0, the game is different, So I see a lot of Inter fans upset at Conte, and even me, I've been critical of Conte saying this year, where I said, listen, you have to be able to change some things. If you don't have the players to fit in this 3-5-2 due to injuries, due to COVID, then change it to a 4-3-1-2, or change it to a 4-3-3, or change it to what you can use your players that you have at your disposal. And he hasn't done that so far. He's been very stubborn. But then at the same time, I cannot really get upset at Conte for mistakes by individual mistakes by a De Vrij, by a Hakimi, Lautaro, missing an open net versus Shakhtar. So these are all things that they go in, or there's not a bad back pass. Maybe Inter win those games.
Yeah. So you've pretty much answered one of the questions that we have asked from our friend Joe from Calcio Fan Blogs about, do you think Conte should change Inter's formation to one with a 4-player backline? Because you just mentioned now maybe he should adapt. But then again, Conte is the type of coach that even ran the 3-5-2 in the 2016 Euro. It seems like it's his bread and butter system. But I think I have to agree with you that saying maybe change it to a 4-man backline might actually help them out in the long run than right now. But that's going to kind of touch upon into a question that we got from Alex Donno at the Calcio Connection podcast. Do you think Conte is on the hot seat? And also, do you think maybe Inter is a bit too dependent on Lukaku before his injury?
Conte is definitely on the hot seat. I don't know if it's that he's going to get sacked in January, but I think this year is going to be, make it or break it for him. If he doesn't win the Scudetto or doesn't reach a certain, gets out of the group stage, and all that stuff is going to be taken under scrutiny. So he's got to really step it up. And there's no more excuses. Inter got him the players that he wanted. Yeah. I've mentioned in the past, even yesterday, that there's only two positions that Inter seem to be weak in. And I think it's a left wing back and a vice Lukaku. Now, getting to the question that you had, Gianni, Lukaku, the way Conte plays, the ball seems to always go to him, and then the offensive, the attack comes out from Lukaku's pass or hold up play and stuff. Are we too reliable on Lukaku? Yes, but that's also based on the formation that we play, the style that Conte plays. So if he's able to create more of a free-flowing game and style and change the formation, we wouldn't be necessarily so attached to a Lukaku to throw the ball into Lukaku, let him hold up the play, and then have our wings work off him. Nonetheless, if something's working, not necessarily a bad thing, right? We've seen it time and time again. If Lukaku is able to hold up the play and you have that player, why not use him? But the only thing is, don't rely on him too much, and be able to play the game without him is important. And listen, at times we've seen, even in the Real Madrid game, Inter were able to move the ball. It's just a matter of it's too much of the same passes. You see already Inter, the players that they have, they're going to look to go to the wing backs and then cross the ball. And there's no penetration through the middle. And that's something where maybe an Eriksen, who's been quite the question mark, if he played in that trequartista role, but in the true trequartista role, he would be able to penetrate more through the middle.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I think Inter, when you talk about Lukaku, I think Inter has been their main man. Now that he has a bit of a knock, guys have to step up. And talking about a 1B maybe from Lukaku, Lautaro Martinez, we spoke about them last season, that they were a double threat of dreams. And we got a question off social media from SPQR Maximus. Why hasn't Lautaro taken the next leap forward? He was once considered a replacement for Neymar at Barca, and it seems like he's plateaued Pete, I don't know if you have any thoughts on Lautaro, on his recent play, on his, he had this whole $100 million evaluation, and maybe it's kind of diminished now. What do you make of Lautaro? Is he the guy for Inter, or should they maybe move on?
Lautaro, since the rumors of Barcelona, right?
You have a bit of agita. I think.
Yeah, he's been. Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with Lautaro. When he scores, I'm celebrating. Don't get me wrong, but he's too inconsistent for me. I still think he hasn't made that jump to being that top player. He has everything. He has all the potential, but I think mentally, since last year when Barca was calling, he's been focused or looking, out rather than just concentrating on playing for Inter. And I think it's still a problem right now because he's actually going through a negotiation with Inter to renegotiate his deal. So I think he's not focused 100%. That being said, Inter's got to sign him long term and give him the money that he wants. I think he's asking around like $5 million, which is not crazy for a player like him. It's not crazy. Also what you're doing is you're able to make sure that you have a player who is definitely sought out after from Barca, from even Real Madrid. I heard there were some reports. And you make sure that if they're going to take Lautaro, they have to put up a substantial offer. And you want to make sure that you keep your guys happy. And I think if you're able to do that, I think Lautaro has what it takes to reach the next level. But he has to learn one thing. Stop diving, man. Get the ball and do what you can do. Because every time I see him, he's always on the floor or he's always losing the ball. And that's something that you can't do. You have to be more consistent. You don't always have to make something happen. Sometimes the simple thing is the best thing. And he has the capability to do it. We see it. When he takes on somebody and he's unbelievable. And he's hard to stop. Yeah. But then there's games where he's just completely out of it. And every time, like versus Parma, every time he touched the ball, it looked like he had not even logs as lakes. The ball would just bounce off, and I don't know where it would go. So it's something that he can't let happen, and that's something that the top players don't do. You could have a bad game here and there, but not 2 or 3 bad performances in a row. So.
And speaking about strikers, we got another question from our friend Jerry Mancini, also from the Calcio Connection podcast. Knowing Jerry, I don't know if he's joking with this or if this is a serious question, but he asked...
It's definitely a joke.
Does Inter wish they had a player like Felipe Caicedo?
Well, believe it or not, I like Caicedo as the vice, second Lukaku, and if you want to say, because it's a guy that, games like Parma, where Lukaku's out, you put Caicedo in, he's going to put in the work. He's a physical striker. He can hold up the ball. He's quite quick, and he can score some goals. He's not going to score 20 goals, but he'll score you 10 goals. And when Lukaku needs a break, and he deserves a break, you can't play 38 games, plus 38 plus actually, if you can consider Champions League and Coppa Italia. You need to be able to take a break. And to be quite honest, Pinamonti is not the guy. He's young, with Genoa, he didn't really do much. And then with Inter, he doesn't have it right now. I think it's better suited for Pinamonti to go to either a top Serie B team or even a lower level Serie A team to just get some minutes in him and see what happens. But I don't think he's ever going to be a top player.
And one last question that we kind of got here from our friend Francesco Alberga. I wanted to call it a doomsday question, but let's just pretend you were you're in charge of Inter's management group right now. His question is kind of in a sense that should Inter completely abandon the Champions League and put all their energy in hoping to salvage top 4 finish, or should they still keep on pushing into European competition?
And by the way, he's an Inter fan, Francesco.
He's an Inter fan, yeah.
Chicho.
Yeah. No worries. And so what? So you mean Europa League, right? They're out of the Champions League.
Basically, should they just focus more on Serie A and try to get to Scudetto? I think he's trying to ask, should they try to win the Scudetto or focus on finishing in the top 4, or should they actually put all their energy in just getting something from Europe, whether it be Champions League or Europa?
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, Inter was the amount of players we have in the midfield alone. I mean, we can literally put two teams, one for Champions League, one for the Scudetto, for the Serie A. Sorry. So I don't like that excuse. I think if you're Inter, you have to respect your name and you have to be competitive in both Champions League and Serie A. It's just part of your DNA, and you have to do right by the Inter fans, because besides what you can do to win the Scudetto, winning in Champions League brings in a lot of revenue. We can get you better players, and then also gets you the chance to be seen, and for other players to be seen and stuff. So I think Inter has the team to be able to compete on both fronts. I do not like the fact that, let's just focus on Serie A, Champions League, we're not going to win anyway, screw it. No, you have to compete in both fronts. And Serie A this year especially is for the taking. Juventus, we still don't know what's going on with them. Milan, they've been high for a long time, even from last year after the COVID stoppage. But I'm sure they're gonna lose a game or two, and then that's when it's the real test. Even Napoli, Inter's right there, so it's just a matter of getting hot and keeping a run of performance.
Absolutely, Peter. I mean, we always say here, there's no easy games in Serie A. Especially now this year, what you're saying about the top 4 or just even the champion of the league. Juventus, can they get 10? Who knows? But listen, Inter's up there. Even though they've gone through rough patches, but stemming away from the serious topics, I want to have just a bit of fun with this comment or this question. So we hope everybody had a safe Halloween. Everybody was safe, got their candy, ate their candy. But if anybody's living under, exactly, has some leftover, send it our way, send it Peter's way, no problem. But if anybody's living under a rock and didn't see what you guys did in the IFTV studio, you guys dressed up, and we were huge fans about it. And you dressed up as Padre Pioli, or as we like to call it, Padre Peter. And I personally think, and I think we can all agree, that you probably should have taken the cake on the best costume. What was the makeup of that? And just if you can talk about that episode on your podcast.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the podcast that we do and what you guys do, it's all about fun, right? It's about things that we're passionate about, what we love, and having the chance to talk about calcio is something that really gets the most out of us, right? We get excited about it. So this is our digital or our social club, if you want to make it, through social media, and so just having the chance to do like a Halloween special between Marco and Mike, they're the real brainchild of the whole IFTV, and so they just had a lot of fun with it. They said, listen, it would be really cool if we did this. And I think one of the conversation was, what's Gaetano going to be for Halloween? Because I think he looks like Sarri. And then from there we were like, oh, let's try to play around with this. What can we do? And then Antonio, obviously we've seen him in his Conte wig in the past, so we were like, okay, you're going to be Antonio Conte. And then by my genetics, I have the same hairstyle as Pioli. So we're like, you know what? Let's put we'll paint the beard a little white, and we'll go in as Pioli. And then obviously you saw Lautaro who do a great job in Italy. And they play the spoof on Padre Pioli. And that's what we jumped on. And we see obviously in the Gazzetta, they've also mentioned the Padre Pioli. So we jumped on and we said, screw it, let's have fun with it. And that's what we did. So we had fun. We were able to get into character, talk a little calcio, and go along with it.
And
beautifully said.
And Peter, moving away from Inter, but sticking with soccer. So you're co-director of soccer operations with PNY Sports. Can you just tell us about what you guys do there and some of the talent you have with the agency and some of the talent that you're bringing up in North American soccer?
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah. So I'm co-director at PNY Sports. I take care of, I manage the soccer players, more importantly, players in North America and in Italy. But we do work with other agents, other intermediaries. I got started by working as an intermediary for top agents in Italy to try to look for teams for their players here in the U.S. In particular, like one of my top clients was Daniele De Rossi, when we were looking for something in the MLS, but unfortunately it didn't happen. That being said,
I think Peter froze.
For a second, I thought it was my. Is he there?
Yeah, sorry about that. Some technical difficulties. Peter, you were talking about De Rossi.
Yeah. So one of our top players that we were trying to bring over to the MLS, we spoke with De Rossi's agent at the time, looking for a team in the MLS. But we've also, co-represented and did intermediary work for some guys such as Montolivo, Okaka, some guys that we thought MLS might be interested in. But that being said, we had to change it up a bit because MLS obviously changed their strategy to look for younger talent, which I think is a good idea. Even though you always need that mix between experience and youth. But what we did was from there, we started directly representing players. And so, for example, Giuseppe Rossi, we were able to bring him to Real Salt Lake after, a year and a half of not playing. He was able to sign an MLS contract, and he's there currently. At the same time, we also represent Luca Lewis, who's the goalkeeper for New York Red Bulls. Also, he played for the Torino Primavera, but he's an Italian American as well. His mom is Italian, and his father is American. We also have Gennaro Nigro, who's playing at Potenza right now in Serie C, also Italian American from New Jersey. Bryce Duke, who's playing in LAFC. Andrew Tenari, Chris Lema, a bunch of guys. Damian Yamarino. Try not to miss anybody.
Canadian, Yamarino.
Damian is a Canadian. That's right. He featured for the U17.
Our boy.
Yep. He's from Toronto, as you guys say, right?
Well, we're from Montreal, so Toronto, though, yes.
Forget it.
Not too far off. That's it.
Toronto.
But so that's pretty much what we were able to do, and it's something that we enjoy because, like I said, it's my passion. And it's great that we're able to do that for our job. Between me and my partner Mario. So we're constantly on the phones with Italy, the U.S., always looking for top talent and trying to make some moves. And then we also value ourselves as being the all-around agency. So we also deal with a lot of marketing for our players and getting off-the-field sponsorships besides just on the field. So this has been only a couple of years, so we're still growing, but we've made great progress.
And just speaking about the Giuseppe Rossi point, if I can just interject for a quick moment, that was just always really cool to see, because this was a player that at one point, in terms of potential, was on top of the mountain. There was so much hope behind him, and not just for individually as a player, but also for the national team. And for it to get, what was it, knee injury after knee injury? The guy his career just went downhill because of just it being plagued with injuries. And now it's just great to see him kicking the ball around. And even though it's not in a European flight league, it's still, in my opinion, an upper tier type of league in the MLS. So that's really cool that you guys managed to do that for him.
Yeah, and also it was a way to get back home, right? He's born in New Jersey.
Yeah, he's a Jersey boy, yeah.
He moved to Italy when he was around 11, 12 years old. But definitely has a lot of his family in New Jersey, and having a chance to come back and play in the U.S. was something that maybe he didn't consider right away, because obviously we always look to play in Europe, play in the top leagues, and dreams are Champions League and winning a Scudetto and whatnot. But I think it was nice, and I think it's fitting to see that soccer is growing both in the U.S. and in Canada, and he's able to have his part in it. At the same time, as you said, arguably was on the top, and even one year when he was playing with Villarreal was number 3 on the goal scorers chart, behind Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. So those are 2 names that I think anybody can tip their hat to. And Giuseppe was up there. Unfortunate that the injuries that he's had, but he's a true warrior, and I think anybody that had the injuries that he had probably would have stopped playing, and he doesn't give up. So you have to give a lot to him and what he's been able to do. And he is, for a lot of Italian Americans, Italian Canadians, this he's been able to do our dream, right? Yeah. Everybody that watches Calcio wants, and born here in the U.S., born in Canada, we grew up watching Calcio and supporting the Italian national team. And he was able to play for the Italian national team, play for top teams in Europe, and be born in America. So it's great to see.
And Peter, I'm so glad you mentioned that he lived our dream as Calcio fans. Maybe even former players, if anybody has played the game in the past. But we've always just being from North America and seeing that he made it, like you said, honestly is the greatest thing. Warrior, you look up Warrior in the dictionary, Giuseppe Rossi's name is up there for sure, no shadow of a doubt. And then we're definitely supporting him from here, representing North America, a bit closer to you guys than us, but nonetheless, we're definitely behind Giuseppe Rossi. But you mentioned the national team, and we like to ask. Obviously, we know that you guys support the national team, thick and thin over at the IFTV studio, and just in your personal lives, coming from Italian descent. What's your thoughts about the national team right now, going into Euro 2020/2021, and maybe even the World Cup the year after? About Mancini, his tactics, the squad at the moment, this Nations League. Anything you want to touch upon with the national team?
For sure. Well, I think the Italian national team is in good hands with Mancini. I mean, he's not the greatest coach, but he's won in Italy, he's won in England, and we've seen, his trust in the youth players and his style of play. He wants in Italy to play this modern football, which I enjoy. And I think we have the young players, but not just young players, experienced players that have played in Champions League and are getting the chance to maybe push for. I think that they have a shot to win the Euros this summer. That being said, you look at guys such as Lorenzo Pellegrini from Roma, Barella, Zaniolo. Hopefully, is able to come back. Who else we got? We got some experience with Chiellini, Bonucci, Romagnoli. Hopefully, can feature there. Spinazzola, who's having a great season with Roma. Emerson Palmieri also. And we also have Florenzi, believe it or not, going to PSG. Maybe change of scenery can help him. And he's also that experienced person in the locker room. So we need that mix. We need to figure out our number 9 position between Immobile and Belotti. But I think also keep an eye out for Keane, right? Moise Keane is scoring goals in PSG. He's been utilized as that right winger with Mancini, but I think he's a number 9. I don't see him as that winger. He can maybe play that position, but he can maybe play as a number 9. And let's see how it goes with Belotti, Immobile. They haven't really had the greatest of goal scoring numbers for Italian national team. Yeah. They seem to score with their respective clubs, but we need to see that translated to the Italian national team. And then also, keep an eye out for Ciccio Caputo.
Our boy.
That guy can score goals. And listen, if he has a good season, you got to call him up. You have to.
We absolutely agree. We've been advocates for Ciccio Caputo, the national team, getting in there. We're big fans of him over here on our end, on our podcast. But Pete, it's been. I feel like we can talk to you for hours. We have the same passion, the same roots, pretty much. And I feel like we can go on for days talking Calcio. We might have to keep you on the line after we cut this off. But again, from the three of us, we're definitely super grateful for you taking the time out of your busy schedule. Coming and talk to us. and shedding light on Inter, Calcio, the Azzurri, the whole nine. If anybody listening to this is living under a rock and hasn't heard of IFTV or yourself on the podcast, where can we find you guys on social media and continue to follow your great work?
Well, listen, guys, thank you so much. Listen, it was my pleasure to be able to talk calcio. Like I said, it's what I love doing, and it's great to get a chance to actually meet you guys. Also, even though it's via Skype, right?
Yeah.
But it seems to be according to the times, right? But definitely, if you're ever in New York, feel free to reach out, and love to have you, meet you guys in person. And if I ever happen to get to Montreal, I'd love to meet you guys there as well.
Perfect.
It's only a 7-hour drive.
Hey, it's not that bad.
I swear, once this COVID is over, Pete, we got to make it happen. It's something we have on the works, hopefully on our end. But again, we're super appreciative, and all the kind words and you just following us. We definitely don't take it for granted. So we're very appreciative. And so yeah, again, guys, give IFTV obviously a follow if you're living under a rock. On our end, you can find us at the Calcio Guys on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook as well. Catch our podcast on all your favorite podcasting platforms, and we'll be back next week to talk more calcio.
Thanks for listening.
Ciao.
Bye. All right.
The Calcio Guys is a weekly podcast by Adreano DiNardo, Gianni Dellacoli, and myself, Nicholas Di Giovanni. We want to bring Calcio back to its roots in our communities and share stories from around the world about why we're passionate about the beautiful game. You can listen to us anywhere where you listen to your podcasts, including Spreaker, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, iHeart Radio, and Mixcloud. Give us your opinion on social media at The Calcio Guys on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The outro song is The Last Ones by Jazar.